We are back. It is the next edition of our Comrades podcast. And the big news today, there's actually two bits of news we wanted to share. The first one is the name change. I've got the coach, Lindsay Parry, with me. Lindsay, nice to see you once again. I spent the whole weekend with you down in Cape Town, but here we are talking Comrades again. We've just run a marathon, and I can't believe we're talking about running even further.
Yeah, and you made me promise that I wouldn't sing or rap, so I'm not going to. But yeah, it's quite exciting actually. I think tons of people ran Cape Town Marathon with the hopes of qualifying for Comrades, and many did. And there were tons of novices, which means there's a whole new breed of runner that we have to suck into the madness of running another marathon plus a park run. And and then of course Soweto and Kaapsehoop and a whole bunch of other marathons coming up. So the time is now. We need to start talking about how we get a medal on the 8th of June, 2025.
Yeah, before we get into that, because we've got some really cool stuff coming up, I wanted to, and people would have noticed if they are observant, but I don't know about most people. I know I'm not. If you take a closer look to the branding on this podcast, it has changed. It is now called Down, because that's the way we're heading in 2025. We've got lots more content coming your way between now and the starts of the 2025 Comrades Marathon. So really excited. If you're not subscribed to the podcast feed, head over to your favorite podcast player, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating or review there, it just helps other Comrades runners find this content too, because we love helping everybody get their Comrades medals. We love seeing those Medal Monday selfies the week after Comrades. So that's the first big announcement, is the name change of this podcast. And there is more content coming. So make sure you keep looking out for that on this feed. But the second big piece of content is, as you rightly said, Lindsay, we are smack bang in the middle of marathon season. Lots of people qualifying this past weekend at the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon. It was a great weekend out. You mentioned Soweto and Kaapsehoop coming up. There's lots of international marathons happening in the Northern Hemisphere, all the full marathons taking place as well. You and I both ran this past weekend. Before we talk about what's coming up next week, let's just do a debrief on your Cape Town Marathon. How did it go?
Yeah, so it was good. I didn't run quite as fast as I would have liked to have, but that is the nature of what we do. We both spend a lot of time on our feet on Thursday and Friday, and I think Saturday just wasn't quite enough time. But be that as it may, I was pretty excited to be running a marathon, and I trained pretty well for this. I didn't feel like I was good enough for sub 3, although that was a real case in point sometimes with people hearing what they want to hear. I mean, I said in our I said in our last little video we put together that in Amsterdam I thought I was in 320 shape and I somehow ran a 310. So I said to you, I felt like I was in 310 shape. So who knows, maybe I'll run a sub 3 as a joke. And of course, everyone thought I was going for sub 3. But anyway, I ran super consistently. I literally just ran on feel to how I felt like I could do on the day. And when I got to the end, I was pretty tired. I still had a little bit in the tank, but that's how you want to be at the end of a marathon. But I certainly didn't feel like I had tons more. It was super consistent. I ran like a dead even split, almost to the second, same first half, same second half. And I enjoyed doing it. I think that was the best part. And it was just awesome seeing so many crowds, so many people actually physically running the race, so many novices finishing the race. It was really cool to have Coach Parry and the team there. And it was brilliant that we could celebrate PBs in the team. So that might not have been your lifetime PB, but it's certainly by far your biggest or best marathon since you started running properly again. And of course, Nikita and the team ran a brilliant PB, and her fiance ran a brilliant PB. So it was just a great day to spend with mates and colleagues. So yeah, what a good little springboard for me to lead into 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Cape Town Marathon, Lindsay. I've run it a few times now, and every time I run it, I swear to myself I'm never running it again. And the funny thing is, Sunday was the first time ever I never said that. So they just put on such a great show. I think they're really taking that marathon sort of ahead in leaps and bounds. I think Barry van Bladk and the rest of the team at the Cape Town Marathon really do need a cap tip if you'd like, because they did a great job. Obviously, there's room for improvement. The new route, the change on that route was spectacular, going up Company Gardens. Just really chuffed with what they've done, and hopefully they keep that route for future events, future editions of it, and it keeps just growing bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And then they do eventually get that World Marathon major status, because geez, Cape Town was showing off on Sunday. It was a little bit windy, a little bit warm for what we've been training in here in Cape Town, but what a day out. And yeah, I'll take 57 minutes year-on-year improvement every single day of the week. So managed to dip under 5. I mean, you said for the first time, I was trying to do the math. I was looking at sort of my Garmin and Strava just to try and see when last I ran under 5, and it's at least 8 years ago. So very, very chuffed. So yeah, definitely heading in the right direction, which is great news. But let's talk about heading in the down direction towards Durban for 2025. Next week, we are hosting the very first of our training webinars. So if you are on the fence about Comrades, or if you have decided you're running the down, we want to help you get that Comrades medal when you arrive in Durban next year. So make sure you scan the QR code that is on screen right now. Lindsay, it's quite an interesting time, because it's not the time to be training for Comrades, but a lot of people are talking about it, because you either have qualified or you haven't qualified. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about now, because things change depending on that scenario, how we progress for the rest of the year. Do you want to touch on just briefly what we're going to be talking about, and why people should join us in the webinar this coming week?
No, absolutely. So look, Comrades generally tends to be close to a year commitment. And so really what we're going to touch on in that in the webinar is like, really, what does that mean? When do we actually need to start training for Comrades? What should we be doing now? What are the important things to be taking into consideration if you've got Comrades on your menu next year? And then we'll be talking about the 2 paths. So which road are you going to travel? And without giving the webinar away, that'll really be around whether you have or are about to qualify for Comrades or not. And then we'll just talk you through what does that mean for 2025. And then very importantly, December, with lots of extra time to train, what do you do with that time, and what is the best use of the time that you've got available?
Absolutely. And Comrades making the big launch announcement beginning of November as well, which means that entries are opening next month. So yeah, you don't want to miss out on this. Scan the QR code that's on screen right now. Book your seat in it. Unfortunately, seats are limited. The piece of software we use to deliver this webinar only allows us to have a certain amount of people on it. So don't miss out, okay? Scan it. If you are in a running club, please do share it with peeps in your running club as well. We really do appreciate that. Let's get word out and get people as fit and healthy as possible in the build-up to Comrades 2025. Lindsay, as always, great to catch up, and we look forward to catching up with you again very, very soon on this here feed. Make sure you subscribe and like, and we look forward to chatting again soon. From the 2 of us, take care. Cheers.